Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. My name is Dorothy Yeboah Manu, and I'm the director of the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, University of Ghana. My research interest is in tuberculosis, and here I'm interested in the genetics of the different variants of tuberculosis. My work is to look at the differences in the genes and see how best we can utilize them to develop new tools, such as diagnosis, treatment, and even vaccine. I'm very much interested to make sure that some of these innovative tools that have been developed will not limit West Africans, because West Africans has a variant bacteria that causes TB called Mycobacterium africanum. I'm working with a team of scientists at the Noguchi. We are working very well looking at genetic diversity. We are also looking at and evaluating several different diagnostics. We are also very much interested in transmission. There are so many questions that we are answering. In Ghana, what are the hotspots of transmission? Who are the most persons who are at most risk of contracting TB? And how can we prevent those who are at risk of contracting TB? What are the interventions that we can put into place to reduce transmission of TB? Over the years, I've worked with the National Tuberculosis Control Program, putting in place several interventions. Some of these interventions include new rapid diagnostics. We've been able to evaluate and establish diagnostics such as GenExpert, LPA, and that's why now when you go to the hospital, your sputum is collected, and within a short time they can tell whether you have TB or not, and then we can find out whether the TB bacteria that you have is resistant to the first line drug. I am also working with my team to look at drug resistance and also to look at genetic events that leads to drug resistance. We are trying to find out whether the West African bacteria has different mutations that leads to drug resistance, and we are looking at how these resistant bacteria spread in Ghana. What are the different risk factors and how can we reduce the risk? Furthermore, we are also looking at individuals with other diseases that will predispose them to developing TB easily. One of such groups that we are researching is those with diabetes. We are looking at the prevalence of TB in diabetes, and very much important, we are looking at how do they respond to the TB medication. With those with diabetes, because of the diabetes, influence how well they respond to the TB drug. What are the adverse effects that happens with those who have TB medication? And want to look at whether the diabetes medication that they are taking is affecting the TB medication, and therefore they don't have the right amount to allow them to kill the bacteria easily. We are doing this not alone. We are working with a team. We are working with the medical doctors, nurses from the Curable Teaching Hospital. We are working also with the National TB Control Program, and we also have some international collaborators that we are working with. With this work that we are doing, we are getting a lot of interesting findings that is supporting Ghana's control efforts. One of such work is that, for example, within Accra, our work has been able to determine the hotspots of transmission, and we are working with the National TB Control Program to provide community education. We are doing community screening, and we are doing a lot of education so as to look for the missing cases, so as to reduce our transmission within the community. I believe they are doing so much work that is all contributing to the control efforts of the global WHO efforts. I believe that if we can all join from different sectors to work together, I believe that we can all together end TB. So at this juncture, I would like to advise that we should all invest in TB to improve innovations for new diagnostics, new medication, and even vaccines. I'm also asking all sectors to join hands together, reduce stigma that is associated with tuberculosis, limiting people who are affected to feel good to come out. The same way that people can say I have malaria, that I'm going to the hospital. That Ghana together we can work well to reduce stigma, that someone can say I have tuberculosis, so I'm going to the hospital. Together we can end tuberculosis. Thank you.